Have you ever stopped to wonder if you really love someone, or if you're just in love with the version you created in your mind? It may sound strange, but the truth is, many people live this way without even realizing it. They believe they're in love with someone, when in fact they're clinging to a fantasy, a character they invented themselves. And this illusion can destroy your happiness, self-esteem, and even your chances of finding true love. Before we go any further, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any life-changing content about love, self-esteem, and healthy relationships. If you've ever felt frustrated in relationships that never seem to work out, stay with me until the end, because this video will open your eyes to something you might not have noticed before. When we meet someone, it's natural to idealize certain qualities. We imagine perfect moments, ignore small behaviors that bother us, and before we know it, we're building an idealized version of that person in our minds. It's much easier to believe in what we want to see than to face reality with all its imperfections. And the problem is, this imagined version rarely matches the real person. When reality doesn't match the fantasy, frustration, disappointment, and even anger arise. This cycle repeats itself, often without us realizing we're the main cause of it. There are clear signs that you might be in love with an imaginary version of someone. The first is ignoring warning signs. Small behaviors that should catch your attention are justified with phrases like, "They'll change over time," or "They didn't really mean that." When you make excuses for actions that hurt you, you're choosing the fantasy over reality. Another sign is that your happiness becomes entirely dependent on the other person. You only feel joy when they do exactly what you want, and any deviation causes frustration. True love involves freedom, not emotional dependence. Constant frustration is also a clear signal. The more reality doesn't match your expectation, the more you try to fit the person into your fantasy, creating a never-ending cycle. Friends and family may see problematic behaviors that you ignore. This happens because the fantasy you've created is more comfortable than facing the truth. If you recognize any of these signs in yourself, pay attention. You may not be loving the real person, but the version you invented. Why do we do this? Why do we idealize someone instead of loving the real person? One reason is the fear of being alone. Many people prefer to believe in a perfect person rather than face loneliness, building scenarios that don't exist just to avoid emptiness. Another reason is low self-esteem. When we feel unworthy of complete love, we settle for fragments of the idealized person that fit our expectations. There is also the need for control. Idealizing someone is a way of trying to shape them into what you want, instead of accepting them as they are. But this never really works, because no one can fully fit into an image that doesn't exist in real life. Loving the fantasy instead of the real person has a huge emotional impact. Frustration becomes constant because reality is never perfect. Disappointment arises when the real person doesn't meet your unrealistic expectations. Guilt and self-blame appear because you think the problem is you, not the illusion you created. Often this pattern results in failed relationships, draining your emotional energy and affecting other areas of life, such as work, friendships, and well-being. The good news is you can break this cycle and start loving truly. The first step is to observe the person as they really are. Pay attention to their words, actions, and behaviors without ignoring signs that don't fit your fantasy. Accepting imperfections is crucial. No one is perfect, and love means accepting flaws as well as qualities. Focus on what you truly feel and need. Ask yourself, what do I really want? What do I really need in a relationship? Don't cling to the image you created. The real person may offer far more than you imagine. Communication and clear boundaries are also essential. If something bothers you, speak up. If the relationship doesn't meet your needs, don't be afraid to step away. At the same time, work on self-awareness and self-love. The more you value yourself, the less likely you are to cling to fantasies, and the more prepared you'll be to love someone genuinely. Let's think about practical examples. Imagine you're in love with someone who never gives you enough attention, but in your mind, they're perfect and will change over time. Result: constant frustration and emotional exhaustion. Another example. You idealize someone because of their job, lifestyle, or appearance, but the real person has traits you ignore or dislike, causing conflicts later. Or you cling to the idea that someone will complete you, but in reality, they are human with flaws and limitations. These examples show that fantasy can be tempting, but it's unsustainable, whereas loving someone truly requires courage. The courage to see them as they are and still choose to stay. Now reflect deeply. When you think about the person you love, are you thinking about them truly or the image you created? Do you accept their flaws or do you ignore them because you prefer to believe in a fantasy? Are your feelings based on reality or on a story your mind invented? Answering these questions honestly is the first step to transforming your relationships and emotional life. Loving someone truly means seeing them fully with flaws and qualities and still choosing to stay. Don't cling to fantasies. True love is choosing reality, even when it's not perfect. If this video resonated with you, leave a comment below. Tell us, are you loving the real person or the version you created in your mind? And if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe now. Hit the bell and like this video to never miss content about love, self-esteem, and relationships that can transform your life. Share it with someone who needs to hear this today. Sometimes one reflection can change everything. Remember, you deserve to love truly and to be loved for who you really are. Don't settle for less. True love is not clinging to an idea, it's choosing the whole person every single day. And if you want to continue learning to love better, value yourself, and have healthier relationships, stay here, subscribe, hit the bell, and follow all the content we've prepared carefully for you.